The 2026 consumer tech market has entirely fractured into two opposing economic directions. You've probably felt this friction already. Buying a new phone right now feels like a massive financial hit, while picking up a giant display for your living room is surprisingly cheap. The dilemma we are facing this year is how to actually get value for our money when companies are shrinking their product lineups and shifting their pricing models. To understand the math behind this, we track a specific metric: the average launch price, or ALP. It tells us exactly where manufacturers are placing their bets. This split-screen chart maps the average launch price from Q1 of 2025 to Q1 of 2026. On the left, personal computing devices like smartphones and tablets have surged upward by 26%. On the right, smart TVs have dropped a massive 50%. On that left side, mobile manufacturers are dealing with expensive components. To protect their profit margins, they are inflating the cost of personal devices, pushing the average smartphone launch price up to $39.2K. Meanwhile, television manufacturers are locked in an aggressive race to the bottom, dragging the average price of a new smart TV down to just $27.5K. Upgrading your devices on a standard 2-year cycle out of sheer habit is going to drain your wallet. To protect your cash, you have to map your purchases to where these industries are actually hiding their profit setters. Look closely at the mobile market, and you will notice that sub-10K entry-level smartphones have essentially vanished. Rising costs for memory and storage have forced brands to abandon the budget buyer. The 10K to 20K tier is now the absolute baseline required to enter a modern mobile ecosystem. Because developing entirely new hardware is expensive, manufacturers have introduced the variant explosion. They release fewer distinct base models, but multiply them into dozens of slightly tweaked versions to micro-target specific price points. This comparison shows only 56 base hardware models were released, but they were stretched into 128 micro-variants. Instead of designing new processors, brands simply swap RAM and storage modules, slapping a new price tag on the box. We can see this in the silicon. The high-performance Qualcomm chips are increasingly locked behind the premium pricing tiers, leaving MediaTek processors to cover the massive volume of those base models. Mid-tier buyers are paying more for the illusion of choice. By buying into those incremental memory upgrades, you are directly subsidizing the brand's profit margins, rather than paying for actual hardware innovation. The consumer laptop space is facing a severe contraction. With people holding on to their machines longer, the volume of new laptop releases has dropped significantly. To make up for selling fewer total units, manufacturers are prioritizing larger, more expensive 16-inch display models, effectively forcing buyers into a higher spending bracket to get current generation tech. The tablet market looks even more extreme. The average launch price for a tablet has skyrocketed to over $82.5K. This area chart explains why. That massive peak on the right represents Apple's ultra-premium models, dragging the industry average upward. Meanwhile, Android manufacturers have capped their hardware ambitions below the $50K line. Android brands are actively refusing to compete at the absolute top end. If you require premium mobile productivity, you have to pay Apple's massive Lux tax. Now, move into the living room, and the hardware economics completely invert. The average launch price for a smart TV has crashed to just $27.5K. At that entry-level price, you are now getting premium democratized features like QLED display panels and native Google TV. But there is a catch. To hit those aggressive price points, television manufacturers have completely sacrificed their upfront hardware margins. They make virtually nothing on the physical screen. This flowchart maps the smart TV subsidization cycle. Low upfront hardware costs require an OS login, feeding into an ad-supported interface. Manufacturers get their money back over the TV's lifespan through sponsored content and data harvesting. You secure incredibly cheap, high-quality display hardware today, but the permanent cost is trading away your interface performance and personal privacy tomorrow. The data lays out the traps. We need a strict set of purchasing rules based on exactly what you have to spend. This decision matrix breaks down the smartest plays for the budget-conscious buyer, the mid-tier optimizer, and the luxe spender across phones, tablets, and TVs. If you are on a strict budget, your immediate directive is to extend the lifespan of your current phone and laptop. Do not buy right now. However, take advantage of the TV market crash and buy a QLED display immediately. For the mid-tier optimizer, avoid paying extra for minor smartphone memory variants. Your highest value play right now is in the sub-50K Android tablet space, where the hardware remains highly competitive. If you are a premium buyer, embrace the Luxe tier above 100K. This is the only remaining sector in personal computing that yields actual generational leaps in hardware performance. The era of the high-value flagship killer is permanently over. Protect your cash by slowing down your personal device upgrades and exploit the deflationary home entertainment market before the ad-supported models become too aggressive to tolerate.